everyone, this is Shannon from That's So Po, and today it is my 4th BookTube anniversary, so like every year, I wanted to go ahead and use this time to celebrate being on BookTube by doing shout-outs of some of my favorite booktubers. So today I'm going to do the Booktube Teacher tag, which was created by Dane Reads, and I was tagged by Kazen at Always Doing. This is a tag that just basically imagines different booktubers as teachers of the courses that you would have taken when you were in school. And I liked that Kazen sort of altered the courses to fit what she ended up taking rather than the original list. I'll provide the original list down below, but I'm also going to do that. So I'm going to go by the categories of the courses that I took when I was in high school and talk about the different booktubers who I think would be excellent as those teachers for various reasons. And obviously there are so many other booktubers that I love, but this was a good collection of people who, if you aren't already subscribed to them, I'd love it if you checked them out because I think that they are wonderful and I always enjoy watching their content. So first is math. And when I think of which booktuber has the most to do with math, I actually think of Oliviah-Savannah at Olivia's Catastrophe because her whole channel name is all about her TBR and how it's kind of out of control sometimes. She gets so many different books, she has so many things that come in and go out, and she is constantly doing booktube math with her TBR. So she has a lot of videos where she's doing book hauls or doing book unhauls, and she has so many wrap-ups and all sorts of things. She's got just this huge flow of in and out of books, and I just love the idea that booktube math is all about our TBRs, so I think she is the perfect teacher. Next is science, and for this I'm going to choose Kristen at Kristen SFF Reader, who I think really embodies that love of discovery. She reads a ton of sci-fi and she just loves the ideas that happen in sci-fi. So whenever we discuss these books, she's always just so excited about the ideas of what the future could bring or what we could develop. And I think that that passion for and excitement for the future and for developments and technology, and also the hopefulness that she has is really wonderful and just what I would want in a science teacher. Then for history, I've got Jen at Remembered Reads, who reads so much about history. She reads so much nonfiction and so much nonfiction about political events and about wars and about all kinds of history, especially histories that maybe the rest of us don't necessarily read about. She reads a lot of very niche things, a lot of things that are memoirs or that are kind of reportage looking at what was going on, and she really does these very, very deep dives into these political and historical events. And I learned so much just from listening to her talk about the books that she's been reading, as well as I get inspired to pick some of them up. I picked up the Ukrainian and Russian notebooks, which is sort of like a graphic novel that is reportage about some of the issues that have happened in Ukraine. It was so good. And so I just always think of her when I think about somebody who's passionate about history and who delves into some of the unknown stories or lesser covered stories. And I think that that's exactly what you want in a teacher, somebody who makes you curious and interested to look into these things that you've never heard about. Next is government and economics, and for this I've got Anna Marie at Actual Spinster. She reads so much that is talking about especially forms of government and especially looking at things like communism and workers' rights, and she just kind of analyzes both literary works as well as looks at nonfiction talking about these ideas and these themes, and I've definitely picked up stuff because I've heard her talking about it. There's so many other things that are on my TBR that are about these topics, and so I think that she's just one of those people who makes you have a critical lens when you're thinking about the way that governments work and the way that economics works and how that treats people, and I think that it's a really cool thing to get so many book recs from her. Next is English literature, and for this I've got Fraser at Fraser Simons, who is somebody who not only reads a ton and reads really widely across all sorts of genres, but is also somebody who puts a lot of thought and analysis into the way that the books are written. So whenever he is reviewing books, he's talking just as much about the style and what the work is saying as he is about his enjoyment and the plot and all of those sorts of things. And so a place where I'm a little bit weak when it comes to reading is taking that time to kind of analyze the work as a work in and of itself, rather than just like my experience with it. And so I think that he would be a great teacher for learning how to analyze books in that way and think about what they're doing and what their structure is and what they're trying to accomplish. So I think he's an excellent English teacher. Then I've got foreign languages, and for this I'm choosing Cynthia at Book Whimsy for a couple of reasons. So first of all, foreign languages was absolutely my favorite thing to study in school. I loved taking classes for different foreign languages, and I love everything that Cynthia picks up. So just like I loved foreign languages, I love Cynthia's book recommendations. Also, Cynthia and I buddy read a really excellent book in translation, Signs Preceding the End of the World by Yuri Herrera, translated by Lisa Dillman. We have like a whole discussion video on that, so I'll link it below. And that experience was so beautiful, just reading this book that was translated so beautifully and made us very aware of the language itself and the way that it is translated. Plus, Cynthia also reads in Spanish, and so sometimes she'll review books that she's been reading in Spanish, and I just think that I associate her so heavily with my love of languages and everything that she reads and everything that kind of we've done together, so she's my choice for that. Next is theater, and for this I've got Kevvie at Say Kevvie, who not only is a performer in and of her own right, but she also performs on BookTube doing readings of various books, and so you get to see her perform. She also has videos of her like performing on stage as well, and I think that one of my favorites that I saw her perform is she did a reading of the Marquise-Marquis de Banneville, and that was such an excellent reading. It was such a great story. It's a short story, and so she read the entire thing. I will link it down below, but it was such a beautiful story, and I loved her reading of it too. And she's just got such stage presence, I think, and it's just like the joy in performance I think I really associate with Kevvie, so she'd be a perfect theater teacher. And lastly, I've got PE, which was definitely my least favorite subject in high school. I hated group sports and I thought it was so tedious to run around the track, and I just never really wanted to participate in PE. So I think that the ideal PE teacher for me is somebody who would just be so motivational that I'd want to do these things that are good for me, but that I'm dragging my feet on a little. So for this, I've got Angela at Literature Science Alliance. One, she's just always a little bit motivational in terms of she talks about so many books that sound interesting and make me want to pick them up, but also very specifically, I've had quite a few experiences this year where she directly got me to pick up books that I had been meaning to get to. So we buddy read The Sentinel Cycle by Malka, which starts with Infomocracy. And that was something that I'd had on my e-reader for years, and I'd been meaning to get to it, and I never picked it up until finally we buddy read it, and that just gave me that motivation so that I actually read the whole trilogy and finished it, and I felt so accomplished when I did that. Another book that I picked up this year because of her that had been on my e-reader for quite a few years was Rain and Ruin by J.D. Evans. And that ended up being one of my favorite books of the year. And it was just one of those like, why didn't I get to this earlier? But I was so glad that, you know, I saw her read it and then it inspired me to go and read it, and I loved it. So there's just so many books that I have been, you know, a little slow to pick up, but hearing Angela talk about them or getting the chance to buddy read them with her has given me that motivation. So I think she'd be such a motivational PE teacher. Okay, so those are my choices for some of my favorite booktubers who I think would be excellent for various subjects. If you guys have any booktubers that you think would be great for subjects, or if you just love the booktubers that I love, or you want to recommend other booktubers to me, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Just leave me a comment down below.